Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Mayfield flings it left side end zone. Caught by Van Jefferson. Must have extra point. Matt Gay for the lead. After the Van Jefferson touchdown reception from Baker Mayfield, here it comes. And the Rams are on the high side for the first time on Thursday Night Football.
How about that outing from Baker Mayfield on Thursday night? It's Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. DB, Andrew Rogers, DB, nobody saw that coming. Baker Mayfield leading a last-second touchdown drive.
Yeah, especially the 98-yard variety. And if you're Troy Aikman, who just continued to be blown away by the fact that Baker Mayfield had only been there 2 days. I was like, hey,
he was only there for 2 days? Really? I couldn't catch that on the broadcast.
Man. But listen, I like TA. I'm not going to hate. Shane, I appreciate you having the stones, the kahunas, the marbles.
To play Baker Mayfield
marbles. To play Rams clips, knowing your Raiders.
Come on, Shane.
Also knowing that you're talking to a former St. Louis Ram fan.
That had one of the greatest American giveaways going. I mean, who didn't see Baker Mayfield going 98 of them? You don't need a field goal.
You're telling me you saw that?
You got to. No, I didn't see that. Did you see some of the dots he was throwing, though? The catch to Skoranek was unreal. He was good when he had to be.
Well, he was Tom Brady on Sunday.
That's all that matters.
Like Tom Brady on Sunday, but he is not
throwing,
Tom Brady.
He was throwing dots on that final drive. Don't hate, appreciate.
I was talking with my buddy prior to the game, and he's like, "Man, I can't believe Baker is getting into this game." And I'm like, dude, he could have had a month of practice. He could have had a day of practice, and he'd still be as bad as he is.
Yeah, listen, the two coaches that love Baker Mayfield coming out in college, and I like Baker. Like, I for whatever the reason, it's kind of weird. I just do.
Which is funny because you don't like the showboating, the swagger.
No, but he's a gamer, and he thinks everybody hates him, and maybe they really do. And he sometimes he finds a way to function. But there were two coaches coming out of high school that kind of side noted, pulled him to the side and say, hey, listen, little guy, I know you swam upstream your whole college career just getting your walk-on game right. But if we ever get you, I like you. You keep being you. One was Sean Payton. You know who the other one was? Mr. McVay. And now he's actually coaching that guy. Now, is he the second coming of, Matt Stafford's run to the Super Bowl? Yeah.
So would you?
Hey, listen, little pocket Hercules, Simadonna over there.
Hercules,
my dude, man. Simadonna over.
Shane walking in
exactly.
there?
Why? Why are you butting in over your Raiders?
Would you take Baker Mayfield as a roommate in the Heisman house?
No, I would never get any sleep. And Baker seems like the type of dude that would talk too much.
He seems like a cool dude. I mean, I'd hang
No,
out
he
with
probably.
him.
I would too.
I mean, he'd headbutt you. That's for sure.
If Baker was like, "Hey, man, let's go get a ginger ale," I'd be like, "Yeah, cool, let's go."
Yeah, I know he doesn't strike me as a ginger ale guy.
Canada Dry?
I don't think so.
Schweppes.
Schweppes. You think he's a Schweppes guy?
What's the good kind that they make up in Michigan? It's hard to get here. That's the
You're
best.
asking the wrong guy.
I know. St. Louis guy over here.
I don't think I've gone further north than Iowa and Nebraska.
Shane, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about your Raiders.
I'm not.
They do have sweet uniforms, though. Those fighting whites, maybe they're surrender whites now, but man.
Hey, Shane, the betting gods weren't on your side either because they were boosted.
Thanos?
Yes.
Thor?
Both.
Achilles?
Sure. Whatever.
Aphrodite?
Leave it up to your imagination. They boosted Devontae and Josh Jacobs combined to score 2+ touchdowns in that game. So because of that, That's why
Let's be
you were
honest,
only able to
though.
get one.
I did get an interesting voicemail afterwards.
Was it from Davante Adams?
No.
He was like, throw me the damn ball.
No, I have the voicemail right here. You want to hear it?
Yeah,
let
let's
me
hear
hear
it.
it.
You seem very hurt right now. You gonna be all right?
Could you even watch that game? Or
And
did you
then-
just track
Hey,
it
but
on your
how
phone?
good is DA, though?
And then they sent me another voicemail right after that.
What did it say?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm glad. Hey, Tom had your back. Tom was busy getting dubs coming from behind, so he probably felt bad for you. Man,
What'd you ask?
How good is Davante Adams?
He's insane.
Fudge.
Well, it's obvious how good he is/was because of how good he made Aaron Rodgers look in Green Bay.
Well, and here's the crazy thing. So some of the little subtle stuff he does, let's not coach defense. Some of the stuff he does is indefensible. Like the late showing of the hands, the playing peekaboo with his eyes. He defies all the things that you like to teach DBs to try to play wide receivers because he's so stinking good. I don't know. Shane, why did Los Angeles, now Las Vegas, that used to be Oakland, why are they so sporadic with my man Josh Jacobs? Can you help me?
Well, they are the true original Los Angeles team. I
Well,
mean, they
I-
are the team that
Here we go.
Los Angeles kind of gravitates towards.
Let's put the
you
old
know,
quarter in.
The Rams were kind of a. I mean, they were in there first, but then they were out, and they weren't there for the longest time, and then finally they were there, and I still think that Los Angeles wants to have the Raiders there instead of the Rams.
So you're in a very lucrative market in Vegas. Enjoy it. You have folks in the box like playing slots, man. You're good.
So Las Vegas
Like,
a
what
little
is
bit
he
more
mad about?
lucrative than Los Angeles. I
Yes,
miss them.
yes,
I don't miss
yes.
the Raiders being in Los Angeles, but still.
You seen the fiscal state reports in the state of California? Not good. Not good. Go to Vegas.
You may have a lot of rich people living in LA, but you definitely have a greater deal of profit being made in Vegas.
So what's the original question? Ask it one more time.
No, I'm not.
Why did they not go to my
Well,
man
I mean,
Josh,
they fed him a little bit,
to
but it got
Jacobs a little bit more?
kind of stagnant.
I don't think
Are
the
you-
Raiders
If you hate on
got
Josh
comfortable
Jacobs,
out
it
there.
is on and cracking. You better not hate on Josh Jacobs.
I've never once hated on Josh
Okay.
Jacobs. You're just coming after me. Bark.
It's a fierce Friday.
No, it's a functional Friday.
It's a functional Friday here on Coffee and Cream.
Oh, man. Well, you mentioned Baker Mayfield being a walk-on.
Yes.
College football awards took place last night as well. And the walk-on award is my favorite award. Is my favorite because I love the underdog story.
Okay.
So the Burlsworth Trophy is my favorite. Plus, have you seen Greater on Netflix? Do you have? Oh, you have Netflix. Have you seen
Yeah.
Greater on
No,
Netflix?
no.
It is about Brandon Burlsworth, and it's his story. It's a phenomenal film.
Hey, is it pretty good?
It is
Hey, say that
so good. It is phenomenal.
Okay.
That's ridiculous.
And you know what? It's pretty functional, too. But I'm also a huge fan of Stetson Bennett and have been this
I am
season, too. So the fact that he was able to take home that award, I mean, it was just so well-deserving seeing how he's been able to keep Georgia consistent this year. I know they've had some outings where it's like, should you have won that game against Mizzou? Should you have won that game against Kentucky?
To be expected when you've won that many times and you're that good. Like, I don't think people understand how hard it is to stay on the gas consecutive years all the time. Like, it's hard. You're going to have some teams that are gunning for you.
Some awards may even hint to this weekend's Heisman Trophy winner as well. Caleb Williams took home both the Maxwell and Walter Camp Award, which that's handed out to the Player of the Year in college football.
Which is funny because Max won the Davey O'Brien and the Unitas, and I'm thinking,
Yes, that.
are you guys just divvying up? Are you piecemealing this thing?
It's a little participation
a
trophy,
drumstick for you, a drumstick for me.
Right, I was there.
Half the breast for you. Half
I
the
just
breast
don't know
for
how
me.
you win Player of the Year and then you don't win top quarterback.
It's not the first time it's happened, but I just think sometimes I just
Hey, but good on Max Duggan, Council Bluffs kid.
Oh,
good for him to see him win that award over Caleb and C.J. Stroud.
Team Duggan. Well, for as good as we thought Stroud was, he sure seems to be an afterthought. Is he like getting the I play with too many good guys vibe?
He's the ugly stepsister.
Like, so we're down on Stroud because he plays with good players? Because I'm just telling you. If I'm good because I'm playing with good players, give me all the good players I can play with.
People love the flashy guy, and the flashy guy this year, and the guy that, if he's not on the football field, TCU doesn't win games, is Max Duggan.
Max, yeah,
and
he's
so
pretty sweet.
you remove C.J. Stroud, and I guarantee Ohio State still has a good chance of winning a football game.
You know my favorite thing about him is he's tough. He gets knocked around quite. Wait a minute. Did Dollar Bill hear us yesterday?
I think so. He always has an intuition.
We weren't on air yet, though. I was just walking around. It's 6:35, and I go, man, it'd be nice if we could watch some television. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I was singing I just made up the words
because we need to get more distracted.
Yeah.
So let's turn on the TV.
And he just kind of saunters in, hits the televisions like. It's kind of weirded me out how he thinks.
It's ninja-esque. He comes in, and you don't even hear him or see him. He's there.
Do you think he's a good card player? Because I'm sure we're losing all our money.
I'm not sitting down at the table.
I can read. It's like, wait, can you? What am I thinking? Leonard Nimoy.
you just made him leave the room. We're at Hale Varsity Club, and it's funny because at Hale Varsity Club, it's so early in the morning that nobody else is here to join us. But we do have some.
Soon.
I love how you always say soon because it is true.
Because
we do have some plans.
They're gonna blow the roof off of this deal,
right?
We
have plans to bring people in for breakfast shows,
six
things like
packs,
that.
and Benning bites, and come hang out, and Fridays for home games, and
I feel
we're gonna get busy.
To add to Benning bites.
Yes.
A new game I thought of last night. You know me, Mr. Game. We're not playing it today.
You killed me
but
yesterday.
I got to blindfold you, and we're going to put like just random food items in front of you, feed you, and you have to guess what they are.
No.
Game over.
Yeah, it'll be like a little Chef Ramsay-esque.
Hey, I have what's the thing where when you smell something, you put something in your mouth and it's not to your liking, so you automatically just
huck it up?
Yeah, that's careful now. You better have a little bucket. Because if I don't like it,
we'll have a trash can to your left and the food ordered to your right.
It's coming out.
Outside of offensive awards, Sonny Dykes took home Coach of the Year. Hodges Tomlinson was labeled the Jim Thorpe Award winner, which is given to the best defensive back. And then Will Anderson Jr.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's
he's essentially Caleb Williams on the defensive side of the football.
He's a freak. And so can you believe once upon a time I was like debating with myself and my co-host at the time, he's a football head. And we were like debating where he would play at the next level as if it really mattered at that particular time I was having the conversation. And I think he's looking at me like he can play wherever the hell he wants to play. Okay, like why are you worried about 3-4 outside versus 4-3 in versus like he's Anderson Jr. Okay, and I was just thinking to myself, God, that was just like 2 years ago we were having this conversation, and I'm thinking, I think he's going to be right.
He's going to be great for the Bears.
Is that what we're on? Can somehow Jack Campbell get to the Steelers? Since we're just having wish lists, I mean,
it is the Christmas season.
Can I get Jack Campbell in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, we'll write letters to Santa.
That would be
and
great.
ask for our favorite players.
By the way, that was on again 2 nights ago, and I can't believe Buddy couldn't get the engine attached to Santa's sleigh. It's like my man has got work to do, and.
Well, it was shocking.
Buddy, you're running out of time. Come on, bud.
I don't know if it was the fuse or what, but it was blowing up in his face.
Shane, is that Ed Asner? Who was this? Was it Santa?
Santa, yes.
You ever seen Elf?
Yes, I've seen Elf.
Isn't it or is he still with
Are you
us?
asking who played
Shane.
Santa in the movie?
Yes, Shane, DOA, Ed Asner.
I would say he's probably R.I.P.
Yeah, then who was the guy that played Santa in Elf?
Who played Santa and Elf? It was Ed Asner.
I'm guessing.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, high five me.
Is he still alive?
Well,
Is he still alive? Well, you should know. Isn't that your game?
Just look at Wiki.
I'm going to. But
I'd say he's probably triple digits if he's still alive.
Triple digits.
So
he
Elf
did
is,
die in 2021.
So Elf is that old? When did Elf come out?
2003.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
Fudge, I'm old. I'm almost 50.
2003.
But guess what 50 would make me? I'm not really almost 50. I'm almost 49.
What would 50 make you?
Higher than 2/3 of
You'd get your
Nebraska's
AARP
coaching
card
staff.
in the mail.
How about that?
No way. Oh, yeah.
I'd be
Exactly.
older than everybody except Foley.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Congrats.
Yay, me.
Did you just drop an ARP?
What?
I don't even know what that is.
You'll get it in the mail soon.
Is that a joke? Is that an old people's joke? Whatever.
Oh, good.
Wow. Unbelievable.
In a little more somber news, Nebraska volleyball was taken out yesterday in a match that was gritty. They played to the last point, but gosh, a match full of rallies and runs is probably the best way to put it.
Out of our own meeting, watching that volleyball match while Hurrdat's trying to conduct productive business.
We're
like,
looking on the phone.
I wanted to put it on my computer, but you had it on your phone, and it was a lot more accessible. So we're like talking about important stuff, and I'm like,
you picked up my phone at one point.
Not win? I did because my eyesight is so.
Well, it wasn't in a good spot either. I eventually put it on my laptop like a kid in high school trying to hide from the teacher.
Can I just say this and move on? I'm gonna leave this right here. This isn't a hot take. And I typically don't talk about specific players, so I won't. Let me just talk about the setting position in general. Man, formationally to how Nebraska volleyball has to play going forward, man, they gotta get that thing figured out. I mean, you put Annie and Orr in some tough spots, and they teased us when they made it. They got it back to 14-11, didn't they? And we had kind of left it for dead. Everybody was
it was
somber.
14-5, I believe.
13-4, something like that.
Yeah,
everybody was kind of somber.
We kind of hung our head,
and the match was still going. And I can't believe you did this to me. You go, they're gonna make a run. Oh wait, no, never mind. It's over.
I looked at it and it was 14-11. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're coming back.
Who does that though? Like, why would you say that to me when you know I'm a glass case of emotions?
Come on, don't turn this around on me.
Hey, don't put that crap on me.
This is not my fault.
Shane,
don't put that crap on me.
Exactly. Listen to what Tim Miles told you.
Now, that fourth set though is really where the tide turned. Nebraska had their chances to end the match right then and there, but just couldn't capitalize. That set ran, I think, 32 points, and you could almost tell whoever captured set point would advance.
Yeah.
Because both teams were so structurally sound, each looking for that one lucky break, right? And I'm not saying that you can't, set up your formation correctly and get a good set to the kill, and you do it the way that it should be done. But in a match that goes that deep, in a set, I should say, deep.
Are you team 6-2 or are you team 3-3-5? The consternation over the dreaded 6-2. That's funny. It's really.
And we'll
funny.
get into the 3-3-5.
Will we?
Here soon.
Selfish.
No, I think we're putting the people first by saying that. But, unfortunately, the Huskers, it just didn't favor them. That point, it was a dig, right? If I remember correctly, it was a dig that just kind of found its way over the net and inbounds.
Yeah, it didn't just kind of do that. It was, placed there. But, yeah, I get you.
You think it was placed?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was very fortuitous.
Yeah, I was going to say it was more of like a ricochet.
Hey, so a fortunate Friday? Fortuitous? I was looking for an F adjective. I do like the one you gave me, though, functional. That's
a you word.
It's a functional Friday on Coffee and Cream.
Yeah.
I think so. We'll see how functioning we are.
We tend to get all over the place a little bit. But to set up the show a little bit.
No.
You don't think
we're
so?
Here. We're here.
To set up the show a little bit further.
Locked and loaded.
We'll get to our poll question of the day, which is what is your excitement level regarding the hiring of Tony White? We'll get into Tony White here once we get finished going over this list. Brad Feeken of Gretna boys basketball will hop on the show at 7:45. We've got Matt Coatney at 8 o'clock. Then we have DB's Dog Eat Dog. 3-question trivia game taking place every Friday. If you want to be a part of that, that's at 8:30. Give us a call, 888-638-4876, and we close the show with Eric Edholm. But going back to the poll question here, DB, what is your excitement level regarding the hiring of Tony White? Is it deliriously excited, interested, and believe, doubting Thomas, or utterly disengaged?
It's exciting.
Well, I'm certainly not the last two. And you realize Doubting Thomas gets a bad rap. Biblically speaking, he just asked a lot of questions.
Yeah, but he was the only one to do that.
Yeah, well, hey, a couple of those guys should have asked a few more.
Yeah, I'm sure. But he was the guy that just got pinpointed as. You know how there's a thing in school where there's no stupid questions or no dumb questions?
Yeah, I don't know whoever said that because there really is, but yeah, I do know people say that.
Right. In this case, it was like, come on, Thomas. Come on.
Yeah, like, are you serious, Thomas?
Right.
Have faith.
Could have been worse. Could have been Judas.
Yeah, like I said, a couple of those guys should have asked a few more questions.
So it's a Faith Friday?
Faith Friday?
Faith,
yeah,
functional, and what'd you
Faith.
say? Fortuitous or something?
Fortuitous.
Yeah.
Like fortunate. Like
Yeah.
The adjectival form?
That's a big word. That's too big for me.
Fortuitous? Really?
Any word over 7 letters.
Totally on me.
Wait, the times Doc makes an appearance on this show are fantastic. It's like he's right here in the capital city.
We're going to be all right.
With our listeners and those that are listening in our other markets, which Bart Scott. Hey, so Shane, I have one quick question.
Man, I feel great, man. I know I'm going to Disneyland.
Is this what Friday's all about? Right here.
Wasn't even.
It wasn't even in response to what you asked.
Well, can I answer the question beforehand?
Yeah.
You just tried to.
Can I just guess it right now?
Yes.
This is Sparta!
Is that the answer?
I don't know.
We will stand.
What was the question?
Fight.
He knows I'm going to be distracted by one of the greatest scenes in a movie ever. And no, that's not hyperbole for those of you that don't like 300.
Can I just respond to your question right now?
Yes.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything.
Huge Leonidas guy.
Oh, I know.
Huge
I know.
Leonidas guy. But, Shane, what I was going to say is, in the West with the Chargers struggling and Denver basically swallowing a golf ball, do you still believe in the Raiders?
Well, I've got an answer for that. I can tell you I can tell you the reason behind that problem.
That would be my excuse, not yours. Wow. I guess I'm just not going to get an answer to that, Drew Down.
Well, he just can't speak for himself. He needs others to help him do it.
No, there'll be some times our listeners will figure it out. Shane will
you know what?
literally
He
have a
pushes his
conversation
buttons.
by just talking to the computer.
Well, he's got 4 of them back there, so it's a good
You
thing.
ain't doing nothing up
Those
here.
are all of
You
his
better come and
friends.
take it. You better be a bad you-know-what if you think you're just going to come in and start over me.
Do you know who that is?
No.
It's Jay Foreman.
I'm just the guy that you guys call.
Shane, play the one for him. Nebraska was really there's a lot of buzz in the news.
Okay.
And Foreman was just kind of hitting the media scene. So this is some years ago. And he was complaining about not being able to go out in public.
I don't have that
Oh,
one.
you don't have that?
But I have this one, though.
Don't flip on him, brother. You know, I still got the one-hitter quitter.
He was picking a fight with one of our MMA guys.
No way.
Oh, man.
We just need a drop show sometime. Can we do?
Brace yourself. This is
Shane, what's the best drop you have over there?
gonna
If
be
you
a
could pick one
fantastic
drop
show.
over there, what would it be?
Will that work?
No, that means we got to go to break. But have you noticed how hard the outs are, though? Ooh,
Well, I'm sure our listeners have too out there.
You will get dismissed. Gotta
Hey,
go.
it's Friday. We hope you're having a fantastic Friday so far. Don't worry. We'll get into Tony White next, right here on Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency.
Clear?
Rogers Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes.
I can't reach it.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you this morning on Hail Varsity Radio. It's Coffee and Cream in the Morning, powered by Currency. Alongside Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, and as promised, and as people probably thought we were going to start with, and still we talked a little Baker Mayfield, the college football awards, volleyball, etc. There's a lot to cover from yesterday, but the big news coming out of Lincoln, and you can find all that news if you subscribe to Hail Varsity. Use that promo code AR for monthly, that yearly promo code DP.
Commitment.
And no matter what, you're saving money. We're here to help you save money, and you also are first to the news, and you would have heard that Tony White is the new defensive coordinator at Nebraska. And if you are a numbers guy, you're going to like this hire. White oversaw back-to-back top 30 defenses at Syracuse and helped lead the Orange to bowl eligibility this year. Before White's arrival, Syracuse was in the hundreds when it came to total defense. And just 2 years later, he brought them to 19. This year, he was at 29. And you just look at his track record and how I'm going to use declining here because that's better when it comes to limiting yards. So defensively, I'm going to say it's declining. He went from allowing 33 points a game and 464 yards to 330 yards and 26 points per game, and then 338 yards, which was relatively the same to that number last year, and 22.7 points a game.
Yeah, the yards per play is kind of the big one for me, getting it down almost 2 full yards. In 2 years, only allowing almost 4.9 per play. And so, listen, that for me, that dog will hunt. And I'm a little biased because I prefer odd fronts. I'm an odd front guy. I wasn't always, but since I've been on the defensive side of the ball in high school, I've become an odd front guy. You're capable of being a little more multiple. I still believe that you can stop the run. Baylor plays some 3-3-5. They can stop the run. Rocky Long, not really the godfather. He's the godfather of tweaking the 3-3-5. Has found a way to play good defense. Iowa State has played good defense. And listen, it's not necessary. I get it. What's the low? I hate low-hanging fruit. So guys will kind of get mad at me about this sometimes. But if it's too easy to ask, don't. I'm not going to say there's such a thing as a dumb question, but if it just easily rolls off the tongue for a question, don't ask it on talk radio. Because what's the question? Can it work in the Big Ten? Listen to what I'm telling you. Any defense can work in any conference if you have the players to run it. Now,
let me go one step further with that before you go. Big Ten's expanding.
I haven't even got to that yet.
But there are teams.
I'm gonna get to that.
Okay, go ahead.
Like when they say is it gonna work in the Big Ten? Number one, even if you want to use Coach Rule's lowest points as a coach, which would be in Charlotte, his first 2 years they played good defense and they took the ball away from their opponents and progressively got better defensively. So I think he understands defense. They were better defensively at Temple. They were better defensively at Baylor, and he understands the Big Ten Conference. I believe he understands the Big Ten Conference. So let me just start by trusting. But here's the easy thing. What's the Big Ten Conference offensively? Is it Iowa, Minnesota, and Illinois? Because it's certainly going to change for Wisconsin. It's certainly different for
Ohio State,
Michigan, Penn State, Northwestern. We couldn't stop QB run game in Ireland. Do you remember that? And we looked like we were a defender short, and guys were playing too far from the ball, and we didn't like our run fits. Do you remember those days? You remember having to play?
Doesn't seem too long ago.
So I guess I would give the benefit of the doubt. And I'm not – and hear my heart. I'm not one of those guys that thinks just because the head coach says it, the head coach is right, because that's not always the case either. I'm not going to put that kind of blind faith. But in this particular case, I will say I think he's understanding what he wants and how he needs to play. Look at the evolution of what Wisconsin's doing with their offensive coordinator hire. I mean, they're going to probably get to spread. Iowa needs to change the way that they play offense. right? Did you see the number of times they got in the gun? A fair amount against Nebraska. You see what's happening with the RPO game in Illinois. For as good as Illinois runs the ball, look at their RPO game with DeVito and how you have to play on the perimeter. That is a spread offense with gap scheme. So, yes, I absolutely think you can. I look at a school right down the road that is amazing at what they do, and they have given us a few clinics because we're very close. I was very close with a lot of guys on their staff. My former school that I used to coach at has a tremendous relationship with their staff. Northwest Missouri State stops the run. That is, can we agree that that's a good football program?
Yes, Maryville is phenomenal. It may not be the biggest town, but that school is all it needs.
Shane's alma mater, they play tremendous defense. They stop the run.
You went to Maryville, or Northwest Missouri State?
Yeah, I spent 5 years there.
What'd you do there?
I did a lot of stuff.
What is there to do in Maryville? I've been there twice, and
go to school, Andrew.
That's it. That's all you got.
Dude, he's shocked.
There's an Applebee's. Was that even there when you were there?
Point is, they played really good defense. They stopped the run. We borrowed some schemes from them on how to free their inside guys up, and you have to have some unselfish D linemen, bigger bodies that can occupy. But there's so many different ways that you can play. Like, we play an odd front at Omaha West Side. We want to two-gap the nose. We can two-gap the nose. We want to bring an outside pressure. We can bring an outside pressure. We want to get in what we call an adjusted front and play with an outside linebacker as a D lineman. Yeah, we have that body type. We want to get in some hippo and play bigger. We bring in an additional D lineman. The concepts of the defense don't change. It's all about having the right personnel. And I think I can say this, even though I don't know what position we're going to play. Remember I told you the story at Junior Day.
With Matt Rule.
Taking a guy that was in the room and then giving me a plan comparison,
yeah.
Right? So Matt Rule was looking at Benny Ngwai, right, from Lincoln High. And he said, this is a guy, and he listed all of his skill sets. It's like, you can do this. See, that's a big nickel. In our defense, where we play with a fifth defensive back that's got to be athletic and still be able to stop the run, we can turn that guy loose right there. He's a lot like player, and then he filled in the blank. And he said, when you see these teams that do this, this, and this is the way that – and I was just thinking, oh, he's done this before. He's been here 5 days. He's pitting it against what he's seen work and where he's been. So when I'm watching and I'm listening to him, I like the versatility in the scheme. I really do. We should have talked to Dumas yesterday because he's coached. He was at SEMO State with Tony Samuel. Tony Samuel ran a 3-3-5. And I think just because we say 3-3-5, it doesn't like kind of have to be a 3-3-5. And listen, I'm not an advocate for, oh yeah, man, lock stock. Woo wee. They're gonna lock up offenses in the Big Ten. What I'm telling you is it has a lot of versatility, and it can work. And the one thing that I think the fan base is going to love, you are not going to be standing still. It is active. People move, and you get to use athleticism.
Answer this for me. Has the 3-3-5 ever been used in the Big Ten?
Oh, man, I think there are some versions of it. I'd have to kind of look at it a little bit, especially situationally, where I would see teams bring in like third and long situations. There's lots of variations of it. As a base front, I'm not sure in the Big Ten. But listen, and my man Kay Kuz, who I love to welcome back, he's going to be one of your favorites. Now, full disclosure, he can be tough on you.
Don't make decisions for me.
But it's out of love. He's going to force you to think. So he's like me. We prefer odd fronts because I think you can be multiple. And do you was Wisconsin pretty good at stopping the run and getting after the passer?
You can definitely say that.
That's an odd front. That's a 3-man.
So my question then is answered because you couldn't really give me a for sure. Yes, it's been used before. How do you know that it won't work? Like it's almost like the decision is made before he even got here. Oh, it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. It's not going to work because I know Big Ten football and that's not going to work here. But the game, we just talked about it, is evolving, and this conference is evolving. USC, you're not going to stop USC just by doing the old antics.
Yeah.
You're going to have to change things up. Same thing with UCLA.
And I know we got to get to break. You said this off air. He said it passes 2 tests. Numerically, statistically, he's pretty good. And the fan base is mad that he's leaving.
Right. 100%.
Don't take our guy. Versus, oh, man, here, have him.
Brad Feeken's next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you on Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, and on the phone, we have Brad Feeken, head coach of Gretna boys basketball. Coach, first and foremost, thanks for joining us, and how are you doing health-wise?
Appreciate you guys having me. I'm doing good. I've done 3 sessions of radiation. I got one more coming in December the 28th, and then there'll be some scans to see how everything's progressing, and hopefully it'll put this thing in a dormant stage for 2 to 5 years. That's what we're hoping.
Well, constant love and support from us.
Coach, you're the man. I always try not to get too emotional when I talk to you, but I think the world of you, and I just want you to know, like, even from afar, or whether you're sending me a congratulations message after the state finals, which you didn't have to do, you continue to be an inspiration. So, like, whether you know it or not, there are a lot of people that may not get a chance to talk to you every day that you truly inspire, because I think when we look at you and we talk amongst our peer group, we say, why not? Like, no excuses, why not? So I got to get that out of the way before we get to talking business, man. Good to hear from you, and I appreciate the kind words.
I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot to me and my family and to the whole Gretna community.
Hey, so let's start right there. One of those teams that preseason top 2, 3, 4 for most. You enjoy the process. You're bringing back some guys. How do you feel like the kind of start that you're off to relative to where you think you're capable of being?
I think we're okay. I do. I think my old man used to say there's no big games in December, and that's kind of what we kind of try to believe. It's still about us getting better. If we rely too much on, how last year went or what the Twitter gods say, we're obviously really, really good and really special, but we got a lot of work to do, and our kids have really embraced that and came a long way in a short amount of time, especially with football kind of going a little long, which was great for our community and great for our kids. But it just kind of puts you in a pinch sometimes as a basketball coach.
Coach, currently ranked 2 in Class A. You return 4 starters. That obviously says a lot about your team and their expectations so early on this season. But how about the guy in the center, right in the paint? What does Roselle do for you right now, and does he have the potential to be one of the most improved players in Class A?
I can't say enough about Jeff. Mr. Roselle's done a very, very good job of just wanting to get better and spending a lot of time with coaches and in the gym. And if you see him play now, he's not the same player he was last year. All his off-season stuff and his weight room and his confidence and being pushed and being held accountable for when he doesn't do things right and growing from it. I can't say enough about how proud I am of where he has come and hopefully where he is going to go.
Coach, let me ask you, and I know you don't like to dwell on one particular player too much as a total team coach, but let me ask you one more question about Roselle with some context, right? And I understand, listen, William Kyle III is starting for South Dakota State, and he was a heck of a player at Bellevue West. But there are some similarities, and it's not just body type when I'm looking at his progression, especially after I talked to all the folks at Platteview during the scrimmage that he showed out against. Rim runner, long body type, kind of a late bloomer. But it's always interesting when they take that self-inventory. Do you think Jeff realizes, because this was kind of the thing with William, where the light bulb went on and it's like, gosh, you know what? I could be pretty good at this thing.
I actually think it's that what you just said is probably a lot, right, with Jeff, same. I think the light bulb came on last year, and he kind of realized that he's getting down to it, and I have to get to work, and all of a sudden he sees some success, and the kid starts growing and growing and growing, and I'm not talking height, I'm just talking confidence-wise, I'm talking his mental, aspect, how he approaches things. This was a kid who didn't say a word in practice, and now he's one of our guys saying, we need to step up, we're not that good, we need to get better at what we're doing, make these lines, and just seeing seeing that young man grow into the man he's become is really, really special for me.
Not only does Jeff get affected by this, but everybody else on the floor does too. When you have a guy like Landon Pekorski leading the charge, facilitating the offense, finding ways to score. I mean, he made numerous watch lists entering this year. How have you seen him develop into the player he is today, and do you truly believe he makes every other player on the floor better?
I really do. That's one of his greatest strengths. He had 2 points last night against Bell East, but he threw 6 assists. Threw some to Jeff, threw some of our guards. Our other guys kind of stepped up, and they were face guarding him, trying to take him away. And we were like, that's fine. Let's let someone else go. And that's exactly kind of what happened. If you're in Class A and you only got a couple weapons, it's going to be a long night because defensively teams and coaches can take that thing away. That's where I think he strives. I think he makes teammates better. But he can also score and obviously handle the ball and pull. He has a wide variety for his game. But yeah, that's his strength.
2 of my favorites are AA batteries. Alec, in terms of Wilkins, who I watched him firsthand a couple of times just annihilate Westside at your place in a fantastic game early season last year. Does a lot of the little things. A third option as a handler. He just kind of can do it all. And a guy that I have a weird affinity for, Alex Wilcoxon, who I spent a ton of time with this summer as the consummate.
I'm actually sorry for you to do that.
Coach, it's weird. I try not to gravitate towards young people that are so much younger than me. But there's 2 things about Alex. Actually, both of them. His teammates like him, and he's ultra competitive. Like, if you have those 2 things, I just think you're going to be okay. You got to talk to me about those 2 guys.
Well, first off, I don't know why their parents named him that because it is a nightmare in practice when you call Alex and Alec and Wilcoxon and Wilkins.
Yes, yes.
I call one Al and the other Wilk, so that's the best I've got. But yeah, those 2 are very, very good players. They just really, really worked. Alec Wilkins has really worked on his body, got physically stronger, has shot it better. He scored like 17 last night. And
he does so many little things.
Yep. Kind of like the jack of all trades, can post, can play in, can play out. I'm very, very pleased where he's came. And then Alex Wilcoxon is, like you said, the guys love playing with him, and he is just compete. I mean, when we'll shoot free throws, and I'm like, what were you? He goes, I was 117 of 150. I'm like, okay, thanks. And he keeps track of everyone, and when he misses, he steps off the line upset. Those things are just, I think, overlooked by so many people because that's just contagious around our program with those kids. It's really, really nice to have.
It's hilarious. My kid Caleb doesn't really like anybody that's not on his team. And when he got with Alex, he kept wanting to be his roommate on the road. We would travel in the summer, and I'm like, what is it about Alex? And he's like, Dad, he wants to win. I'm riding with that guy. That's just what he gravitates towards. That's just who he is. And how much of that has been your program, Coach? You're so, I would say, unassuming. I just saw Coach Hurd at UBT, and you guys are the ultimate kind of fire and ice combo, like your demeanors, but your team is so competitive, and you're like this kind of this silent assassin. What are we missing when we watch you work versus how your team plays?
I don't know if you're missing anything. I think our kids just play and I think they're a competitive group of kids. I think we've kind of stoked the fire a little bit, but the where they get this is the held accountable all the time. They're held to fire all the time. Open gyms, practices. I think this is just the standard. This is how we do things. It's not going to always be easy. If it was easy, we'd have 70,000 kids out. It's just not. And we're okay with that as coaches and with players. And they know the expectations are not going to change, and they're going to get challenged on how they hold themselves accountable. If they're not going to, focus, I will find someone who will. And they know this is how it's going to be. And I think kids say they don't want it. They say they want this player coach with everyone's fun and everybody's great and happy all the time. And, we're not going to challenge kids. I deep down think they need it and want it. They do. They're just like, this is something that I want to get better and I need help. We always talk about no one's ever done anything super special. They just haven't without someone's help. And we talk about this all the time. That, you know, what are you doing to help your teammates? And we look at it as coaches the same way. We're going to help these kids out, and these kids are helping us out by how they compete.
Coach, you talk about help. The slogan last year was, "In this family, we fight together." And not only did your team show their support in your fight, but teams around the state did the same thing. I mean, what does that say about Nebraska as a whole? Because it seemed as though the family, in quotes here, the family being discussed in that slogan was bigger than any one man.
I honestly think it's exactly what you just said. I think it's a very, very special place to do this job. And we have so many people around the community and around the state that just look out for people. And, you know, I can't say enough about what's been happening to me and all the support and help I've got.
Coach, best wishes to you this season. I would say, unless you're playing West Side, but I'm gonna leave it at that because you're a class act, but nothing but good to this community, my family. I think everybody that's come in contact with you. Easy guy to cheer for, Coach, man. So I'm wishing you the best.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me on. It means the world to me.
Best wishes,
thank
Coach.
you, Coach. Good luck the rest of the way. That's Brad Feeken, head coach of Gretna boys basketball. Coming up next, we transition to the college scene. The direction the Nebraska women's basketball team is headed, and we're talking to your guy, DB, Matt Coatney, play-by-play broadcaster for Husker women's basketball. He joins the show next on Coffee and Cream, powered by Currency.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning. We'll be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Excited to start out Big Ten play 2-0 and felt great to be back home and playing in front of Husker Nation and just this incredible fan base. Thought they really gave us some support tonight, and it was so exciting. I'm pleased with our team. We faced a little adversity over the last 24, 48 hours and had 8 available bodies tonight, and I thought that all 8 of them found ways to contribute and rise to the level, and they really wanted to play hard for all of the teammates that were not able to be out there playing, and I thought they did a great job.
Back with you on Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, Shane Schillerberg on the board. It's the top of the hour, 8 a.m., and on the phone is Matt Coatney. Matt is the play-by-play broadcaster for Husker women's basketball. Matt, thanks so much for joining us. Got stumbled over my words there, but hey, we're happy to have you.
Coat, good morning.
Oh, take Andrew and DB. It's great being with you. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, so this is weird. I'm vibing with the way that we can click and crack some jokes, but rumor has it, speaking of Nebraska women's basketball, you like another team that I like in the ACC, and it's good to talk to another women's basketball hoops head. You're impressed by Virginia Tech. I told Andrew and these guys the other day, that's the best team in the ACC for my money. This is coming from an ACC honk.
Hey, let me tell you what. If you say that, I know you know what you're talking about. Kenny Brooks has really done a great job there since he came from James Madison 7 years ago. I like the way he plays. He's up-tempo, and he is in your face defensively. You know, when you're 28th in the nation in scoring offense and number 1 in scoring defense, you're pretty good. And he already had Elizabeth Kitley at 6'6" as the ACC Player of the Year, and you know you have to double her. And then he brought in Taylor Soule from Boston College from the transfer portal. You got to put your best defender on her. And then he brought in Ashley Owusu from Maryland, who twice won Big Ten tournament MVP. I don't know how you guard him. I mean, and we didn't very well, obviously. But you know what you're talking about, DB. I think Virginia Tech's the best in the ACC.
Well, I felt like you gave me a little love when I was trying to go personnel deep with you when you guys were playing Drake too. So I'm just trying to score points here, Coat. Just Coat points.
DB, you've always been great at scoring points, whether on the football field or your knowledge of women's basketball. I've always been impressed.
Hey, let me ask you something. Andrew and I got into this conversation. This was a couple of weeks ago, so we didn't see this coming. But with the injuries and way Nebraska was playing offense, you know, he and I were talking, and he said, hey, it'll be interesting to see if Jazz Shelley flips the switch because she's capable. I said, oh, you know, people forget she's a 4-star and highly talented, and she can score the rock. I just don't know if that's her temperament.
Led the team in points, too, last year.
For this team in terms of being a go-bucket getter. Apparently she's made that transition just fine.
You know, if you take a look at her first 5 games, it wasn't Jazz Shelley that was out there on the floor. She was 185 was her shooting percentage from downtown. But I knew that she wasn't comfortable in her game because she wasn't getting blocks. She wasn't getting steals. And you look at her last 5 games, that switch has been certainly flipped. She's now shooting .537 from the three-point line. That's 22 of 41. She's dealing the rock, 28 assists. She scored 107 points. It's 21 points per game and change. She looks like Jazz Shelley. Now, I think she had to learn to adjust to playing without Sam Hybie a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look from year to year and you bring a bunch of people back and you're like, well, we know who that team is. But sometimes you don't, especially if your playmaker, your captain, the heart and soul of your team isn't there. I think that affected Jazz more than anybody. But right now, boy, she certainly is filling it up. Not only offensively, but she's playing free and easy on the defensive end and getting blocks, getting steals, and boy, it's sure nice she flipped that switch.
She's just one of a handful that come back from that core group from last year's NCAA tournament run, and they're still relatively young. Speak to some of the other pieces now, Matt. How dangerous do you see this team getting as we get deeper and deeper into the season?
Well, it starts, I think, with Alexis Markowski with the rest of the group. And, you know, I just look at Lex, and I'm so happy that she stayed here in town. What a great family the Markowski family is. Lex has really worked on refining her shape. She wasn't out of shape, but, man, she is chiseled right now. When you think of your classic Big Ten center, you're looking at Alexis Markowski. And what I thought really was important in the win over Wisconsin in the home conference opener the other night, Izzy Bourne went out with what we think is a day-to-day shoulder injury. And so Lex was going to have to play additional minutes. And she stayed out of foul trouble, but she didn't stay out of foul trouble in a way where you could obviously see that she was playing Olay defense. She played within herself, was poised, was calm, was just a veteran center who, look, I need to stay on the floor, adjusted her game, you know, had 11 rebounds. And I don't think people talked enough about what she did the other night. We hope Izzy Bourne comes back very soon because that complement of Izzy Bourne and Alexis Markowski is really tough for teams to deal with. Izzy has been a pretty consistent high rebound, mid-point scorer for us, and a lot of that reason is because she's not seeing double teams because of Alexis Markowski. And then Maddie Kroll entered the starting lineup
Sneaky.
when Trinity Brady went down against Virginia Tech, and I think that's made a monumental difference in our offense. I think Maddie Kroll would tell you she struggled being an off guard when she played at South Dakota. She had the ball in her hands. And, you know, there's just some people, DB could probably talk to this, they're just more comfortable with the ball in their hands to start a play. And I think Maddie having the ball in her hands right now has made her more comfortable, and it's made the offense a little more fluid.
Matt, I want to have some fun here because you being a play-by-play broadcaster, it's all about excitement whenever you're making that call and say a game's coming down to the wire. And, you know, something that I always thought about, too, being a former play-by-play guy, too, was how would I address a call? Like, I don't know if you've ever thought ahead, like, oh, if this big play happened, like, how would you do it? But you mentioned Markowski's name, and I think, like, she's a great example for what I want you to do here. I mean, I want to put you on the spot. Okay, Matt?
Right.
I want to ask.
One St. Louis Cardinals fan loving up another. This is terrible.
Right.
What is going on?
This is
here?
great. I want you to give our listeners right now your best Alexis Markowski call if she were to dunk in a game this year. Like, set up the play and give me your true and honest reaction if you can right now. Go.
Jazz Shelley, right side quarter court to Maddie Kroll in the quarter. Markowski is posted up low. What a move. It's a dunk. Markowski by Alexis. And the Huskers lead by 20.
Yes.
By 20.
Yes.
I like it. Hey, let me ask you something, Matt. As you look at the conference from top to bottom, and listen, we saw Wisconsin. Not sure what you think of Rutgers, Penn State, even Northwestern to that degree. How are you separating the Ohio States, the Indianas, the Michigans? We saw Caitlin Clark on full display in the doubleheader. Like, how are you separating the top from the bottom? And is Nebraska, in your opinion, closer to the middle when you look at it?
Yeah, I would right now without Sam Ivey. I think you have to move Nebraska down closer to the middle. Ohio State is, and man, I'm getting a lot of feedback here. So if I sound slow, I'm hearing myself 3 times. So
sorry, Matty. We'll work on it.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Oh, well, no, not really, but I'll try and work through it here. Ohio State, I think, is the class of the league, and a lot of people look past Ohio State just simply because they don't have that one true go-to person like Caitlin Clark. They've not been beaten this year. I really think Ohio State is number one. Michigan got upset at home for their first loss last night by Toledo. When I look at them, I think they're very vulnerable. Indiana has been very vulnerable. They barely beat Illinois, who is a rising team. I would think that Iowa, Ohio State, Indiana, Michigan are the clear top 5 right now. And then I think Maryland and Nebraska are right behind them. So you could, if you're probably positive, you could say Nebraska's trending towards the top. If you're looking at Nebraska's injury situation, you could say, well, they're trending more towards the middle. That's as honest as I could be.
No surprise last night watching what Jones and Clark did to ISU. I was a little surprised at the ease in which they got that one done.
I'll tell you what really surprised Jeff Grease and myself when we were looking at that score. Bill Fennelly's Iowa State team only got 57.
Yeah.
And, they're a team that it sounds like the dumbest analysis ever. You have to outscore Iowa State. Well, but, Iowa State's going to get 70 just walking off the bus. So Iowa's not known for their defense at all. We were surprised they were able to do it. But we were also surprised that Iowa team has already got 3 losses this year.
Mm-hmm. Matt, we are talking with Matt Coatney. He is the women's play-by-play broadcaster for Husker women's basketball. Matt, Amy Williams said it right off the top, 2-0 in Big Ten play, and I'm going to think on the positive end to what your last response was to start the year. I mean, you get that win against Maryland, and that's a win. If you're addressing it to your group or even if you are a player, you're sitting back and you're thinking, a win like this can literally instill belief. You can believe it going in, but if you don't end up doing it, if you don't end up doing it, that can really set you back. But in regards to confidence going forward, what did that win against Maryland do for this group?
It's indescribable. I don't have words really to tell you what that did. 0-15 as a program against someone, you never think you can't beat somebody. But if you were ever close to saying we can't win a game, it's when you play Maryland because you've never done it. And then Nebraska was coming off a 31-point loss in their last game at Virginia Tech and lost Trinity Brady. So you look at all that, and the cards were stacked against Nebraska, especially when you consider Maryland had just went to number 7 Notre Dame and beat them. So this can be a complete changing game. It should be. And, as I said, if you come home and you lay an egg against Wisconsin, then it cancels it out. But it didn't. The Huskers looked really good against a Wisconsin team that's trending towards the lower part of the league, as DB said. It really, I think, shows the team that they can win without Sam Ivey and win the biggest of games. Maryland has dominated this league since they joined the Big Ten. They're going to be there at the end. They have got a handful of WNBA future stars. So you can't put words into how big that win at Maryland is in terms of giving this team confidence and hopefully catapulting them the rest of the year.
Let me get you out here on a lighty, just because we both love actually all 3 of us love baseball, and there are 2 Cardinals fans, unfortunately, that I'm talking to.
You put a UN in front of that, fortunately.
As you guys are the consummate Dodger killers. Can the Cardinals fan cheer for Contreras, given what Yachty and those folks have meant and that they are a rival? Will Matt Coatney embrace Wilson Contreras?
Well, I'm going to tell you that when I grew up in Springfield, Missouri, my favorite Cardinal growing up was Lou Brock, and where did he start?
Yeah, good point. Good point. So you
can
love anybody, Coat?
Yes!
My favorite, when you're wearing the birds on the bat, I now love you.
Amen. Amen, Matt Coatney. Amen.
Hey, let me tell you something. My favorite reliever when I was in high school was Bruce Sutter. Where did he start?
Oh, my gosh. You're killing me, Coat. Killing me.
You're winning. You win games? Who cares?
I couldn't cheer for Jeff Kent. I couldn't cheer for Juan Uribe. I'm like, these guys are giants. But you're just first of all, both of you two are probably more mature than me. I just asked the question because Contreras has had some big games against the Cardinals.
We'll hear a lot of that from John Rooney this year.
Oh, Lord. I always enjoy it, man. Anytime we get a chance to steal you, we're going to try.
Hey, you guys are the best. Thanks for having me on. Love it.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Matt Coatney. You can follow him at Coatman1 on Twitter. Oh, I meant to ask him for his best Fairbury read.
Hey, but guess what? Oh, he's hilarious.
Darn it.
So my favorite thing. Not only when the Cardinals bullpens are blowing up, he's a great follow on Twitter because he will go all in. He gives you the national day of the week or what the national day is like. Hey,
like today's National Brownie Day?
Yeah,
Do you know today's National Pastry Day? Oddly enough, I looked that up yesterday. That is so funny that you brought up national days.
Pastry like
just pastries.
Anything you make? That's so all-inclusive.
It is. It really is.
We need to have like a National Meat Day or something like that.
When it's National Breakfast Day, we're having a party here.
Yeah.
At Hale Varsity Club, partying with us here in the morning for breakfast.
That Cardinals Love Fest was disgusting.
I'll tell you what, though, man. You bring up a great point, though. Like, how can you love
I struggle.
A Cub? And a lot of people do. But for me, it was more how are the Cardinals going to replace Molina more than who they actually bring in.
Yeah.
And Wilson Contreras
He's meant so much to your franchise, and you get a Cubby.
But that doesn't matter to me at all. If I get a gamer, if I get somebody that is relatively decent at defense, can hit the stew out of the baseball on occasion, is an former all-star that we don't have to trade pieces for, that we just sign, I mean, that's better than going after Sean Murphy, in my opinion. The A's wanted a huge package for him.
Were you bummed you didn't get Yoshida?
No.
You guys were long linked to him.
No,
And then the Red Sox just kind of whoop.
Yeah, well, also the Red Sox offered Bogarts $90 million over 4 years.
How about Bogarts' money in San Diego?
Good for Bogarts. Bad for San Diego.
I wanted Los Angeles to go get Bogarts. But they'll save the money, try to go get some front-end pitching. But I don't know who now. Verlander's going to be in New York. And I'm so glad you love baseball because it's actually my favorite sport.
It's a great sport.
It's like we got to go get some quality arms. I don't think Rodon will be an option. I told you yesterday.
I thought the same thing about the Phillies until they signed Walker. And now it almost seems like the Phillies are really set up to go back to the World Series.
Yeah, except the Dodgers get Buehler and May back fully healthy. So.
And here's the thing about baseball.
And Boston picked up Kenley Jansen 2 years removed from being terrible in Los Angeles. But it was a cheap deal, 2 year, $8 million.
Yeah, but how old is he?
Listen, I don't even know who you're talking about. I just read the name because after he went to Atlanta, I'm that dude. Like I'm good.
Right.
What
do? You pink slip him?
Yeah. Some guy used to be a catcher that they drafted. They turned into a reliever. I don't know. I mean, whoever.
Isn't that what happened with Ranger Suarez in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Am I right when they drafted him as an outfielder?
This is gonna be fun when it's baseball season. Is there an MLB market for us?
We kind of fall in the middle.
We're going to make it one.
Because, for one, we have the Royals in town, and we have the Royals farm system and the Storm Chasers.
So one of the greatest people ever, Marty Cordero in Omaha.
We will definitely touch on the Storm Chasers and the Royals. But then you only go about 6 hours south, you get the Cardinals. You go, 7 hours east to get to Chicago?
Chicago?
But, there's 2 Chicago teams there, and then you have the team in Denver. Right, so we're in a very good spot to talk about multiple different things.
Why do we just skip over the Rockies? How come we never go west?
Why? I mean, because it's mile high. We're way above. That's kind of how they dream.
I'm surprised they're not on your
sky.
lips, considering how you fleeced them. So
we did.
Yeah, I know. So why?
I don't want to watch Austin Gomber again. We're fine.
My man's got Arenado just doing big things, and he just doesn't even acknowledge that the Rockies gifted you.
Oh, we didn't just get gifted. We also got $40 million in that deal, too. Hey, we have Brian on the phone. Brian, you're here to talk about Tony White. We heard that you were trying to get in right at the end of our last segment, but we want to get you in now.
Wait, this is Brian?
This is Brian.
B, what's up? Good morning.
Nothing. That kind of got me pumped talking about this defense coordinator,
Yeah.
Because I sent you a little tweet. You say 3-3-5. I was like, the first team I ever remember running that defense was Mississippi State. I mean, you can't forget a coordinator with the go by Joe Lee. It's like when Detroit Lions
we just gotta get some stops out there.
You can't forget a name like that. Joe Lee Dunn. I like that 3-5 to go against the offenses of today, where they like to get matchups and switch up on you with different schemes and different type of players to get matchups on you. That 3-5, if an attack and defense, you can put so many different pieces in there. At the outside, you can put somebody who could pass rush and stop the run, or take him out and put somebody who could cover, and might be pretty good against being a backside pursuit guy to run. All kind of things with that 3-5. I'm gonna love seeing this defense.
Yeah,
what we going against in the future.
When you play an odd front like that, you got to go get a guy like we saw him wreak havoc against Nebraska. And say what you want about Nebraska's offensive line. Keanu Benton from Wisconsin is a really, really good player. But you can get busy along the D-line in an odd front if you get the right body types. I'm actually
and if you execute well,
because you can
provide a lot of pressure with a 3-3-5.
Yes, you can. Look at our offensive line. You match up the best defensive lineman up against one of the weakest offensive linemen we have, and you can run everything.
Hey,
that's it.
You're pretty practical, Brian, so let me ask you this, because the story goes, and just talking to a lot of guys at Nebraska, the offensive line really wanted Donovan Raiola back, which I think is pretty key. Were you one of those guys that is like wait and see, or I'm not sure, or whatever the players and coaches think you're supporting? Like, how did that land with you?
I think that I listened to you guys earlier on in the year on a different, platform. I remember you guys saying that he didn't really have that many bullets in the chamber.
Yeah.
So I kind of gave him a little flyer, especially I remember you guys saying he might be used to coaching the guys in a certain style, but those guys might not fit his style.
Yeah.
So let me see him get some guys that fit his style and see how good he is, see what he does, and go from there. I mean, I'll give him the same chance I was willing to give the former interim head coach, because I know he was kind of short on bullets in the chamber as well. So I'll wait and see, especially since, I understand how development goes. Because, just off the cuff, hey, my son finally scored 17 points.
Oh, let's
go. That little development been working on his game.
If he gets his dad's temperament, he's going to be out there trying to step on throats in the process. Take that bucket.
Oh, my God. He knows since he only really played football, I had to tell him sometimes, he out there, hey, look, you can't, set a screen. That's not set a block. He's dropping shoulders into people. I'm like, no. Test up.
Hey, in Mike McCarthy we trust. Be good to talk to you.
Hey, have a good weekend, fellas.
Hey, you too, man. Thanks for calling. That's Brian, one of our favorites here on the show. If you want to get involved, 888-638-4876. We have a game coming up next after the break, and that's when you can go one-on-one with DB. But, if we don't have a caller again, DB, guess who you're playing?
Shane.
You're playing Shane.
I'll get Shane.
I don't know if our listeners would rather hear Shane or if they would rather hear somebody else try to win a $25 gift card. Hey, before we go to break here,
I got a response for that.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Take that monkey off our backs.
Yep, that's it. Today is Lost and Found Day. So you know how we were talking about national days just a couple of minutes ago, and National Llama Day, your favorite animal. So that's great.
That's not my favorite animal.
What? You tell me all the time.
Llama, llama, llama.
Yeah, you love llamas.
Mr. Llama, llama.
I love lamb, right?
Okay, Brick. Wow.
Hey, we're having fun on a Friday, and we hope you are too. Join us next for Dog Eat Dog with DB. Do you desire to take down old DB in 3 questions? Call in 888 638-4876. Again, 888-638-4876, and you could do just that. That's next on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Welcome back. Coffee and Cream in the morning with my main man, Andrew Rogers, who continues to make me laugh every single day because I think he's crazy. Fantastic show.
Maybe just a wee bit.
Red Zone Ticket Express. You need tickets or have tickets but can't go. Red Zone Tickets buys and sells tickets for all types of events. Where will I be tomorrow? I will be at the Bud Crawford fight. Will you like to be at the Bud Crawford fight? Hit Red Zone Ticket Express up. Morgan Waller. Did I say Waller?
Like Darren Waller.
Do you know why I think Waller? Because of Suicide Squad. She was.
Oh!
Yeah. She
always back to a movie.
And cartoons.
And cartoons.
Morgan Wallen, Terrence Crawford. You've got the Final Four, which will be in Omaha for volleyball. Creighton. How about Husker baseball? Husker basketball? How about Creighton? How about UNO hockey? How about Mannheim Steamroller? Whatever you need. Red Zone's got you covered. NFL, whether you're a Chiefs fan, Vikings fan, Dallas Cowboys, unfortunately. Red Zone's got you covered. Ton of ticket price ranges. Red Zone Tickets is located right here in Omaha, and it's a reliable source. And get this, unlike Andrew Rogers in school, an A+ better business rating for Red Zone Ticket. Visit redzoneticket.com today. That's redzonetickets.com.
Okay, don't talk like you've seen my report card.
Were you smart?
That's my mom.
Shane, cut that up. Yeah, so you can play that every time you pause. Every time you pause, he's just going to play you going.
3.7 GPA.
Yeah,
I think.
At one time, I was.
It's either that or that was my goals against average in soccer.
You want to know what really hurt my feelings in college? Because I was a National Honor Society member in high school.
I was too.
Get this, though. After my first semester, because long story short that I'm not going to tell, I wanted to play baseball. So I was promised to get to play baseball, right? Never came to fruition that first semester between Coach Sanders and Coach Osborne. My grades kind of plummeted, and I redshirted after the first 3 games when I thought I was going to play. So it's the first time I had not done anything. I kind of spiraled. And I remember going into my academic advisor because it was start of the second semester, and we wanted to kind of get into your major, right? Because I wasn't running out of time. I had another semester, but and Dennis LeBlanc looked at me, and we're just going through my class schedule and my grades. And I'm not kidding you. He's sitting about from where you are. There's a desk separating us, and he goes, I had a 1.7 something GPA. Supposed to be a smart guy, right? And he goes, I mean, just
no big deal.
Exactly. That's what I thought, Doc. No big deal. He goes, you may be the single biggest underachiever I've been around. Oh, it cut me to the core.
It's that's like when your mom tells you, I'm disappointed in you, Damon.
Well,
that hurts more than Mom, you yelled at me.
I'm like, I don't even know you like that. It's only been a semester. But then he went into my lineage and my dad and education, and I was like, hey, you know what? Guess what? You'll never say that to me again. I think I'm about to start getting out of my feelings and going to class. Like, my man called me an underachiever. Ouchie.
He'd eat you.
Yeah.
It eats at you.
Yeah, so that won't.
Hey, you may underachieve in this game, too. I'm going to have you leave the room. I'm going to have you leave the room.
Again?
You have to, because I got to play with Shane.
Fudge.
No callers again today, but you know what? Now I'm starting to think that it's strategic. Maybe we'll just do Shane against you on Fridays. I think people would really enjoy that.
So how long do I need to be going for?
I'll wave you back in. You just go right outside the door.
Can I look at you through the window?
Yeah, you can look at me through the
like
window.
Like a lost puppy?
Exactly. You just can't hear the answer choices. Because if you remember this game out there, to our listeners, Damon gets the questions, no answers, but he does have one Hail Mary when he can use that if he needs answer choices. But Shane, you get all 3 answer choices. Shaner, are you ready to play?
We needed to do something.
You have music? We got our music? Can we cue that bad boy up?
Nothing would please me more.
You kill me. Hey, Shane.
Good morning.
Is that genuine?
In the way that you're thinking.
All right. Hey, let's play Dog Eat Dog versus DB. Shaner, here are the 3 questions.
Okay.
First question. In 2018, Baker Mayfield was the #1 pick in the NFL draft. Who was the first defensive player off the board that year? Was it Bradley Chubb? Was it Denzel Ward? Or was it Roquan Smith?
And you want me to make the choice right now?
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna go with number 3. It was Smith.
Smith?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then he's gonna have it right. But he's gonna try and guess like me though.
He'll go through it. We'll see him go through it. The Home Depot Award, Shane, is handed out every year to the College Football Coach of the Year.
Okay.
Scott Frost won the award in 2017.
That seems like an eternity ago.
Right? Who won it the year prior? Was it Dabo Sweeney, Brian Kelly, or Mike McIntyre?
Sounds like a Brian Kelly thing.
Brian Kelly. Last question. The World Cup continues this morning and actually starts back up at 9 o'clock. Has me in a football mood. What is the record for the most red cards given in a single game, Shane? Is it 6, 36, or 12?
Oh, Jesus. Jeez Louises. I'm going to go 12.
You're going with 12.
Yeah,
okay. I'm not seeing DB anymore. Did he run off?
He went home?
I don't know where he went.
Did he say see you next week?
Well, he left, and I normally tell him to stand by the door, and he's not there right now. Oh, there he is. There he is. All right, he's ready. He heard me talking about him. I don't know if anybody heard that, but he was watching Nebraska Creighton is what he just said. The rerun on TV. Hop back down in your chair, DB, because Shaner, well, let's just say he may have done pretty well, so watch out.
Okay.
These questions a lot more difficult than they were last week because you guys went with it with ease. So I'm trying to get the difficulty level up.
So me talking about my 1.7 GPA, you're like, I'm going to take advantage of this.
I'm taking it to the next
level. Lack of aptitude.
DB, question number 1. In 2018, Baker Mayfield was the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Mm-hmm. Who was the first defensive player off the board that year?
Oh, boy. I may be off a year. Wow. What do I get, a Hail Mary?
You get 1 Hail Mary.
I'll take the Hail Mary.
Is it Bradley Chubb, Denzel Ward, or Roquan Smith?
Denzel Ward.
Question number 2. The Home Depot Award is handed out every year to the College Football Coach of the Year. Scott Frost won it in 2017. Who won it the year prior?
Golly. 2016.
If you're on the struggle bus, you should have seen me. I couldn't even. I mean, I was like,
let's go with Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly. And last question. The World Cup continues this morning. Had me in a football mood. Football across the board. What is the record of red cards given in a single soccer game?
Gosh, I've seen 9-on-9. What would that be?
Carry the 2.
Let's go with 5.
5 is the answer. All right. Let's go over them. Shane, you ready?
So I didn't carry the 2? Is that what you're telling me?
You didn't carry the 2. It's
wow, those were tough, man.
Yeah.
Like, what gives?
Let's just see how you did.
Okay. All right.
Hey, question number 1 was in 2018, Baker Mayfield was the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Who was the first defensive player off the board that year? Was it Bradley Chubb, Denzel Ward, or Roquan Smith? Shaner, you said Roquan Smith. DB said Denzel Ward. It's Denzel Ward.
Thank you. Bo, Doc, Tim, there's all these old Nebraska coaches just chiming in this morning.
Hey, the Home Depot Award is handed out every year to the College Football Coach of the Year. Scott Frost won the award in 2017. Who won it the year prior? Was it Dabo Sweeney, Brian Kelly, or Mike McIntyre? It was Mike McIntyre. Neither got it correct. McIntyre, coach at Colorado at the time.
And proceeded to lose his job.
Yeah.
A tough place to win, man.
So you gave me false hope. You said you thought Shane did pretty well.
False hope.
Yep.
Oh, stop. You need your hand
So
held
it's a
over there.
False hope
See,
Friday.
you know what? I'm getting attacked today. I'm all about false hope. It started with DB calling me out for volleyball. Now it's you calling me out in trivia. Let's get to the last question.
What did I say in volleyball? I can't remember.
You said.
Oh, when you set me up for the fall?
Yeah, you're like, oh my goodness, they're coming back. Oh, they lost. And you got all excited like a kid on Christmas.
Well, you've made me fall on my face.
18 seconds here. The World Cup continues this morning. What is the record for red cards given in a single soccer game? Neither got it right. It's actually 36. 36 red cards is the answer.
Did the official live?
Remember that as
That's
you
a
go
bunch
through
of
to every
crap.
trivia night from here on out. We're talking to Eric Edholm next. A little NFL action on Coffee and Cream in the Morning, powered by Currency.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
And we are back to wrap up the show here on Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hail Varsity Radio with our good friend Eric Edholm. You can follow him on Twitter at Eric_Edholm. He's covering all things NFL, and we appreciate him taking some time this morning. Eric, thanks for joining the show.
Hey, what's up?
Good to talk to you, Eric. How you been?
Everything's good, man.
Good.
Reeling from last night's incredible game.
That's a great place to start.
Yeah, wait a minute, Eric. I mean, you didn't have it penciled in, and I don't know how much you get into or not into broadcast, but, I mean, Aikman continually telling me or us that Baker had only been there a couple of days and how he was marveled by it. You didn't pencil him in for a 98-yard drive to win that game? I mean, what happened?
Yeah, I know, right? I'm losing my edge here, but yeah, it was pretty incredible to watch. And all night while I was watching him play pretty well. I mean, it took a little while to get going, and there were some early throws that were clearly off, and you could tell, it's the guy who's absorbing things and way better than the level that Baker had coming in. But I mean, it's just a reminder that was kind of thrown in. I'd play a pitfall, so I didn't want to rub off completely. Had to watch last night and remember that this is a talented quarterback here.
Eric, I know you are big when it comes to the NFL draft, and I'm sure you monitored the College Football Awards yesterday and saw Will Anderson Jr.'s name pop up a couple of times when it came to Defensive Player of the Year. A player that's projected to go in the top 5 this year, it may be even closer to top 2 in the upcoming NFL draft, but what kind of difference can he make for a defense in the NFL? And is it a difference like Chase Young, Nick Bosa, and others make for certain defenses?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, we've had guys like that. We had Aiden Hutchinson go number 2 overall. I mean, we've had pass rushers populate that range of the draft, including the guys you just mentioned, all number 2 overall picks. And, the quarterback goes first, pass rusher second. You often see that, right? He's a different kind of rusher than those guys. He isn't as thickly built. I wouldn't say he's had quite as phenomenal a season this year as he did last year. But this is an electric talent, and this is a player who, if he continues, I think, adding a little bit of bulk, I want to see him sort of consistently be in the 240 range. I mean, there's some people who guess that maybe he was playing in the, mid to high 230s, a little light. But he's a Von Miller-style rusher. That's the kind of player I see. I don't know that he's going to have the career that Von has to this point, but that's the kind of, bendy, explosive edge rusher that he is. Now, he's still got some stuff to clean up, a lot of missed tackles this year. But,
yeah.
I see a player who I think adds juice to a defense right away whenever he, comes to the league.
To Purdy or not to Purdy, that is the question. Rank these 4 teams for me. Minnesota, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, I think Philadelphia and Dallas are pretty close, right? I mean, they both obviously have their quarterbacks playing at a high level for the most part. Jalen Hurts taking a big step. Dak Prescott, I think, has played very well overall this year once he's come back from injury. I tend to kind of put them a little higher right now because of the injury to Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, Jimmy rarely did anything special, but, Kyle Shanahan knew what he was getting from him, and the team was built so that, the other 52 players on the roster would make his job a lot easier. Obviously, it was Trey Lance at first, but, even if Purdy steps into one of the best possible situations for a quarterback, I'm still a little bit cautious about getting too excited about him now. I mean, they were like the media darlings because of the defense and, what D'Amico Ryans has done and, the Christian McCaffrey trade, Deebo Samuel being there, all the pieces they have with Kittle and Ayuk and everything. But, until I see it for 2 or 3 games with Purdy, I can't quite put them up there on the same level. The mystery is the Vikings. Like, how good are they how much did the Bills win tell us? How much did, some of their other closer games reveal about them? And it's Kirk Cousins, ready to kind of slay some of the demons that have been there throughout his career. He's a good quarterback, but he's had those moments that have, kind of held us back a little bit.
On to the AFC here, Eric, and you look at the Bills, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Bengals, all kind of right around either that 9-win, 8-win mark. But a lot of people had the Ravens at least 2 weeks ago as a team that could still find a way to get a bye come the NFL playoffs. Do you see that still being a possibility, especially with Lamar not trending in the right direction this week?
Yeah, that's the big question. Obviously, is how serious is his injury and when will he come back? And you all of a sudden got to go to Pittsburgh, and the Steelers have played a lot better.
Yep.
You've all of a sudden got to then follow that up with a game at Cleveland, which you can say what you will, but maybe by then Deshaun Watson's kind of hit his stride a little bit. So, and is Lamar going to be out there? We don't know. So, it's a tough closing slate. They finished with the Bengals too, and it's a Bengals team that got hot right around this time last year. They've actually started it a little bit sooner now. They've played some great football since that loss to Cleveland. They're dangerous to me. The Ravens, yeah, I'm with you. I liked them a little bit more 2 weeks ago. It just feels like things are sort of trending in the wrong direction for the team as a whole, not just Jackson. So that worries me a little bit. But the team that I think is kind of just laying in the weeds a little bit, and last week people were talking about them being exposed. I disagree. I think the Miami Dolphins are going to be a tough matchup for a lot of teams. That speed, that offense, that big playability. Most teams don't have a defense like San Francisco. So I'm still on board with Miami as a, maybe this year's Bengals almost, a team that can kind of just crank it up right at the end of the season and make a run.
Let's meddle in being in the middle. Who's the best of the 500s that you feel like have a chance? Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the teams that are
Tampa Bay, New England, and it's the Chargers.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, assuming teams like Detroit, we kind of started getting a little too excited about the Raiders. You could be possibly being 6-7 before they blew it last night. I don't know that there's a massive middle class this year. The Chargers keep giving us reasons to doubt them. They worry me. New England, same thing. Is that the only other 500 team out there?
Well, you got Tampa. So you got Tampa.
Oh, yeah, Tampa.
Yep. You got those three,
Yeah.
Tampa, New England, and the Chargers. I kind of like the Chargers in spite of Staley.
Yeah. The Chargers, everybody kind of wants to like them, I feel like. But it just sort of feels like they're asking Justin Herbert to do things that don't maximize his talent, and you understand why. The offensive line is a mess. They've had, 3 major injuries up front. I don't know about season ending, but the way they're currently constructed, I can't get on board with them. Could they make a run and make the playoffs? Absolutely. No doubt. I mean, I just feel like it's going to take a little bit of a change of scenery here, whether it's a new coach or, a new defensive coordinator or something different on that side. I don't know. I can't fully get on board with the Chargers right now.
Look, Eric, why do I feel like, and I know somebody other than Jones has got to get it going for their front defensively, but why do I feel like the safest pick for me, and I saw what happened against the Bengals, but why do I feel like the safest pick for me is how I really feel? I still think the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC.
They could be. Buffalo will have a say. We'll see how much not having Vaughn hurts them. They've had to deal with a few other things. They're thin in the secondary. Offensive line has been okay, but
they won't run the ball, though. I don't understand, but, I can't buy into them because they won't run the ball.
They would, yeah. I mean, now obviously it's a little different. They went out and got Naheem Hines, and you see what Cook is doing as a rookie in the last few games. They ran the ball more last week early, and it really seemed to help them. When they get to that 50, 60-yard rushing mark in the first half. That's a good sign for them. It's an indicator that they're on pace. They don't need to run the ball, beyond what, they still have the best passing attack, not named, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So I think they're right there and doing the things that they need to do to win. But Singletary's had a nice year. I think overall they're doing what they need to do. But you're right. I'm with you. I still think at the end of the day, even though the Bengals have kind of had their number, even though, they've had some curious losses like the Colts loss, Chiefs are still kind of the team to beat in some respects.
Eric, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope to talk soon down the stretch.
Always good, E.
Sounds good. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, thank you. That's Eric Edholm. And again, you can toss him a follow at Eric_Edholm on Twitter. Let's get to our poll results here as the show winds down. DB, the question we asked right at the very beginning was, what is your excitement level regarding the hiring of Tony White? Was it, you are deliriously excited? Some were. Interested but believe. Doubting Thomas. Or utterly disengaged. 65.8% of our audience is interested and believe. More lean to the Doubting Thomas, though, than they do the deliriously excited.
Interesting. But remember, this is a fan base that has believed before and been burned. I get it. It's playing it safe to
It's just
cautious.
an open wound.
Playing it safe to cautious.
I'm with you. Hey, if you missed anything on the show, make sure to go to Hail Varsity Radio, where we podcast, and you can listen to the show all the way back. But if you want more, we're moving to Morning Dump next. We'll get into Creighton basketball for the weekend slate here, and even a little Creighton men's soccer. But until next Monday, we'll see you then.